Well, hello everyone. This is another episode of Amigues, and I'm Dr. Amigues, your friendly rheumatologist. As you know, I have this YouTube videos that are called Rheumatology 101 for anyone that's interested in more rheumatology topics. And I've started doing lives on, so they are both on YouTube, Facebook, as well as Instagram. I would say I think it's the easiest if you go on YouTube, but otherwise, if you're on Instagram, since a lot of friends are on Instagram, friends and clients and patients and people I'm working with, colleagues are on Instagram. Don't hesitate. I just don't see necessarily the comments. I will try to. So today was my first. It was great. It was on RA next week. So they are always on Tuesdays. Every Tuesday at 11 a.m. you can learn, and they're very short. Okay, today I really wanted to talk to you about the importance of going back to our whys. So this is really interesting. So we are in January, we're at the end of January. I don't know for you, but January just flew by. It's crazy. I've been meaning to do, my urine review. I think I've done the urine review because I really like to do that. I don't do resolution because they don't work. It's proven scientifically. I've tried it many times as a kid. But what I do is goals, and I really like to do goals and how I'm gonna reach my goals. So the idea is like to have a goal first, and then what are the processes. And recently I realized that I talk a lot about nutrition, and I think one of the reasons I talk so much about nutrition is that I find it really, really hard. I think a lot of our food are extremely addictive. I can say easily, I think I'm very easily addicted to sugar. And it's really a problem for the fact that I have been someone that has had cancer that I had to deal with, and I still have to deal with, but it's not active. And then, for my patients with inflammatory arthritis, we don't want to be on, to have processed sugar. And the thing is that when you're looking at sugar, it's not just the processed food, it's also all the glucose. So basically like high glycemic index food. So all the things that my son loves, for example, right? It's pasta, rice, potatoes, bread. And I love it. Like in terms of taste, I really do like this, but it doesn't make me feel good. And what has happened, and this is really the main reason of this topic today, is how do we manage the fact that there is something that we like let's say you were a smoker, you like smoking, but you know that it's not good for you. And I would almost argue, having been a smoker, and it's been hard for me to quit, I would almost argue that it's easier to quit smoking than it is to eat properly. And the reason for this is that when you quit smoking, you basically make a decision of, I'm done with this. I'm not eating this ever again. Food, you have to eat food and you have to sustain yourself. And maybe let's say you're not doing any sugar. That's great. After a while, you're going to see that maybe beets or carrots actually feel sweet. But how do we do more than just that? Like, meaning we start having sugar, we start having this sweet tooth, right, for the beets, for the carrots, and then you're starting like to open up this window of like, oh, I'm going to have a little bit of more bread. Oh, I'm going to be. And there's this balance of you want to live because the goal of living is to have a nice life where you enjoy what you're doing, and balance it with, yes, I want to live and I want to be happy and I want to, have the dopamine release. But at the same time, I also want to make sure that I'm not hurting my body, which is this vessel that's taking me through this life. And how do we do that? And how do we make sure that we get there? I'm going to be honest, it's a struggle for me. And like, if you think about it, I've had stage 4 cancer, which was, the most important why to have a proper nutrition. But as the cancer goes, is further and further away from me, which I'm super grateful for, the reason of getting this proper nutrition is harder. And what I had realized is I was starting to eat more and more processed meat, or meat, altogether, when I had been a full vegetarian during the first year after my diagnosis. And then that I was starting to have sugar at every single meal after my dinner. And it wasn't like a lot. It's just that it was getting more and more. And at one point I was just like, stop. What am I trying to get? Why, yes, I mean, I want to look good. That's important. Yes, I do want to be able to climb, and, being overweight, or, having, even being closer to the 25 BMI, that's a problem. You want to be closer to the 20, 21, 22 BMI. And because you want to have less weight to carry when you're climbing. And then, then I had to like really think, okay, well, why am I not better with my nutrition? I'm talking to everyone, I'm talking to my patients about nutrition, yet it is a struggle for me as well. And I'm still working on this. I want to tell you, I'm also doing, I'm myself being a coach right now, and I want to see how that goes, right? Because I'm offering this to my patients. But I was starting to realize one of the first things that we did was to come back to the whys. And why do this? Why is it important for me to eat properly? Why is it important for me to not eat meat? And I will tell you, the number one reason right now for me to not eat meat is the environment. There is not much that I can do for the environment. Eating meat and not eating meat is a big deal, right? So if we all stop eating beef, there is less mass use of beef out there, and the environment actually can really benefit from that. And so that was my why. That's another of the why. And the really funny part is that I just worked on that, of the what's and the why. I do 2 meals per day, which has been really helpful. And then I don't do snacks, right? So you would argue, okay, this is good. But now how do I go granularly, a little deeper, and make sure that I really do the nutrition that I want to do? And I think the whys are really what helps me get back. So when I see the meat, I'm like, not doing meat, because I believe in the reason why I'm not eating meat. I don't want to eat meat because of the environment. I want that's my help on the environment, as well as giving 1% to the planet with the business, because I really believe in that cause, and also my health. But the reason I had to add another why was that the cancer was more and more away. And so then what's closer to me? What's the cause that's closer to me? And I really believe, for me, the environment. And in terms of the sugar, I'm going to go in the, okay, how do I enjoy myself while not having sugar? And so right now I've decided on doing 85% chocolate, because I love chocolate, and that actually helps me and fulfills me. The reason, like, what is your why is really important. And going deep into why do you eat not as perfectly as you want it to be? Look, honestly, I eat probably at 70% where I want to be. So it's not that bad. But really the question is, like, how do I get to this 90%, 85%, 90, 95, 100%, so that I feel proud about myself? Like, how do I get there? When I was a physician, like when I was a medical student, to get to be a physician, I had to see myself as a doctor. And why did I want to be a doctor? And I had to put that on top of my, I had to, like, almost like waking up every morning with, why am I working so hard to become a physician? Why am I not partying? Why am I deciding to go to the library instead of having a coffee with friends? It was, I want to be a doctor. When it comes to my nutrition, I want to have the environment, and I want to climb better, and I want also my health to be fine. And I think that, like, we have to ask ourselves, why are we sabotaging ourselves? And the reason I'm asking this is really, what is it that makes you eat this? Yes, of course, there's the dopamine release. If I eat a cake, there's going to be dopamine release. It's obvious, because there's sugar. So that's what it does. But there's more than that, because before you go and grab it, there is that moment of why you do it and why you're not letting the why be the reason why you're not doing the chocolate croissant, whatever, whatever it is that you go crazy on. And to me, I think it's going back to, why am I doing this? It's not for the looks, because if it was for the looks, I would be a lot better with my, and I would not eat as much or something, right? Like, it's not for the looks. So then why is it? Okay, environment, that's great. But then why is it? And then I started realizing that every time I'm getting closer to my dream ponds, I was like, wait, I feel weird. That's not me. Like, I've always been a little bit on the higher side. I've always, been at the cups of being overweight. I'm not overweight, but I've always been at the cups of being overweight. What does that mean? Like, why can't I get, to a, better BMI? Because we know that the higher BMI, the more risk of inflammatory arthritis, of a lot of conditions, cardiovascular disease, and so on. And so why is it, right? Like, am I trying to hurt myself? Is that what it is? Or is the why that I have not strong enough? And I think for me, it was understanding like the why. So it's a little longer than I wanted it to be. I'm sorry, but I really want to ask you to ask your why. Like, why would you have proper a diet? Why would you choose what you're choosing, like to do exercise, and why, and so on? So it's really a good question to ask at the beginning of the year rather than doing resolution, but rather why could you potentially not reach them? For example, when I failed quitting smoking many times when I was in my 20s, but I failed many times, and I think the main reason was that I had not understood what I was letting go of. And it's only when I decided that, okay, I'm okay to let go of this, to let go of the fact that, if I quit smoking, I'm not going to have an anxiety treatment or something to fiddle, right? Like fidget with my hands, or, just some sort of things that's reassuring me and that looks cool and whatever, right? And I needed to be, okay, this is why, this is what I'm quitting. And I think in the sugar, I have to be like, okay, this is what I'm quitting. And this is the reason I'm quitting, because the long-term gain is so much better than the short-term gain. But at the same time, no guilt, because there's no point. If I'm going to eat sugar, I'm going to enjoy it because there should not be any guilt. That's not the goal. Okay. And that was just on nutrition, but honestly, you can say this for everything, like exercise or business or success or like studying, anything. What's your why? And what could potentially be in between the success and reaching that why? What is it in your mindset that stops you from reaching this? I think that's really important. What is it that does not allow you to get to that vision that you have of you? And maybe, this other exercise of visualizing yourself, getting that, so that you're closer and closer to your why. All right. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I will see you next week, and I'll talk to you then. Bye.